What's the scariest dinosaur that ever lived? I bet your first thought was T-Rex. Big teeth, loud roar, the ultimate movie monster. But fear isn't just about size and raw power. Some dinosaurs were terrifying for entirely different reasons. They were silent, fast, intelligent, or just plain unexpected. In this video, we're counting down the 5 most terrifying dinosaurs that ever lived, and we're not basing this on Hollywood hype. This is all about real science. And trust me, some of these creatures would make a T-Rex look tame. Make sure you stay until the end, because our number 1 spot will change the way you think about prehistoric fear forever. Welcome to Dino Pulse. Fear comes in many forms. Sure, a giant predator charging at you across an open field is scary. But what about something smaller, smarter, and sneakier, watching you from the shadows? That's where the true terror of the prehistoric world begins. Let us kick things off with a dinosaur that proves you do not need to be huge to be horrifying. Coming in at number 5, the Velociraptor, but not the one you know from the movies. Forget the 6-foot-tall, scaly monsters you've seen on screen. Real velociraptors were much smaller, about the size of a large turkey, and they were covered in feathers. But don't let that fool you. What made them so scary was their deadly precision. They were incredibly agile, likely hunted in coordinated packs, and were far more intelligent than most other dinosaurs. Their most famous weapon was that huge, curved sickle claw on each foot. For years, we thought it was for slashing. But new evidence suggests something far more sinister. They used it like a grappling hook to pin their struggling prey to the ground while they delivered the final blows. Imagine being held down by a creature that's both fast and smart. You wouldn't even hear them coming. Next up, at number 4, let's talk about a silent hunter from the skies, Quetzalcoatlus. Okay, technically it's a pterosaur, not a dinosaur, but this flying reptile was too terrifying to leave off the list. Imagine looking up and seeing something the size of a giraffe flying overhead. With a wingspan of up to 36 feet, Quetzalcoatlus was the largest flying animal of all time. But it wasn't just a scavenger. Fossil evidence suggests it was also a terrestrial stalker. It would land, fold its massive wings, and walk on all fours, standing as tall as a modern giraffe. It would then use its long, sharp, toothless beak to pluck smaller dinosaurs and other animals from the ground like a giant, horrifying stork. It could hunt you from the sky or on land. There was simply no escape. Moving on to number 3, we have a dinosaur that truly defines ambush predator, Carnotaurus. Its name means meat-eating bull, and for good reason. It had 2 menacing horns above its eyes, a feature unique among large theropods. But the horns weren't even the scariest part. Carnotaurus had a ridiculously short snout and tiny, almost useless arms. So, what made it so fearsome? Speed. Its powerful hind legs were built for sprinting, making it one of the fastest large predators of its time. It would lie in wait, then burst from cover at incredible speeds to slam into its prey, using its entire body as a weapon. It was a living, breathing battering ram with a mouthful of razor-sharp teeth. You'd never see it coming until it was too late. Now for our runner-up at number 2, Utahraptor. If you thought Velociraptor was scary, meet its bigger, badder cousin. Utahraptor was the heavyweight champion of the raptor family. It was over 20 feet long and weighed close to 1,000 pounds. It had all the terrifying tools of a velociraptor, the intelligence, the pack hunting potential, but scaled up to an enormous size. Its sickle claw was a foot-long blade of solid bone. This wasn't a grappling hook for pinning down small animals. This was a weapon capable of disemboweling prey as large as itself. Utahraptor was the perfect blend of size, speed, and intelligence. It was a predator that could outrun you, outsmart you, and overpower you. A true nightmare from the Cretaceous. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. The number 1 most terrifying dinosaur ever. And it's not what you think. Forget T-Rex, forget the raptors. The scariest dinosaur of all time is Spinosaurus. For a long time, we thought it was just a big fish eater, but recent discoveries have painted a much more horrifying picture. Spinosaurus was longer than a T-Rex, reaching up to 50 feet in length. It was a semi-aquatic monster, equally at home on land and in the water. It had a massive sail on its back, a long crocodile-like snout filled with conical teeth, and powerful paddle-like tail for propelling itself through the water. It was the undisputed king of the prehistoric waterways. Imagine swimming in a murky river and seeing that giant sail cut through the water towards you. Spinosaurus wasn't just a dinosaur, it was a real-life river monster. It represents the fear of the unknown, the terror of what lurks beneath the surface. It could hunt you anywhere, making it the most versatile and terrifying predator the world has ever known. So there you have it, the true titans of terror. Which one do you think was the scariest? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you love all things dinosaurs, be sure to subscribe to Dino Pulse for more deep dives into the prehistoric world. See you next time. Now, let's talk about the dinosaurs that relied on speed, because against these predators, sometimes you wouldn't even get a chance to run. Coming in at number 4, we have Carnotaurus. The name itself is a dead giveaway. Carno means meat, and taurus means bull. So, the meat-eating bull. And believe me, this dinosaur lived up to every bit of that terrifying name. Carnotaurus was a biological marvel of destruction. It possessed extremely powerful legs, giving it one of the fastest sprint speeds among any large predator of its time. While its arms were ridiculously tiny, almost useless afterthoughts, everything else about it was built for the hunt. Fossil evidence shows its skull was anchored by incredibly strong neck muscles. This suggests it could strike with lightning speed again and again like a jackhammer. But you want to know the scariest part? It was its eyes. Carnotaurus had forward-facing eyes, just like us, giving it phenomenal binocular vision and depth perception. It wasn't a scavenger, it wasn't an opportunist. It was designed for one purpose and one purpose only: lock on, sprint, and kill. Next up, at number 3, is a dinosaur that didn't just hunt, it changed science forever. Meet Deinonychus. Before this fossil was unearthed, the popular image of dinosaurs was slow, lumbering, and frankly, a bit dumb. They were seen as giant reptiles, cold-blooded and sluggish. Then, Deinonychus shattered that entire perception. The discovery of its skeleton revealed a creature that was anything but slow. It had powerful leg muscles built for speed and agility, and on each foot, a huge, sickle-shaped killing claw held up off the ground to stay razor-sharp. But the most revolutionary idea came from studying multiple fossils found together. Deinonychus likely hunted in packs. This wasn't just a mob of creatures attacking at random. This was coordinated. It was strategy. Imagine it. One Deinonychus creating a distraction, drawing the prey's attention. At the same time, another lunges from the side, while a third goes straight for the throat. This wasn't chaos. This was a calculated, intelligent hunt. A pack of these predators would have been one of the most terrifying sights in the Cretaceous world. Let's move on to our number 2 spot, a dinosaur that took speed to an entirely different level, Gallimimus. Now, you might be thinking, wait, isn't that the one from Jurassic Park that runs in a huge flock? Yes, exactly. But don't let its bird-like appearance fool you. Gallimimus wasn't a fierce predator like the others on our list. In fact, it was likely an omnivore, eating plants, insects, and small animals. So why is it so high on this list? Because its entire survival strategy was built around one thing: pure, unadulterated speed. Gallimimus was basically the cheetah of the dinosaur world. Its long, powerful legs, hollow bones, and lightweight frame made it an incredible runner. Scientists estimate it could reach speeds of up to 45 miles per hour, or even faster in short bursts. For Gallimimus, speed wasn't for hunting, it was for escaping. When a predator like a Tyrannosaurus Rex showed up, Gallimimus didn't fight, it ran. And chances are, nothing could catch it. Its speed was its armor, its weapon, and its key to survival in a world full of giants. And now, for our number 1 fastest, most terrifying predator. You might be expecting a giant, but the truth is often scarier. The top spot goes to a group of dinosaurs known as the Dromaeosaurs, more famously known as raptors. And the king among them? Utahraptor. Forget the movie versions. The real thing was bigger, stronger, and infinitely more frightening. Utahraptor was the largest of the raptors, about the size of a polar bear. It combined the best and worst features of every dinosaur we've discussed. It had the powerful legs of Carnotaurus, the strategic pack-hunting intelligence of Deinonychus, and a 9-inch killing claw on each foot. This wasn't just a weapon, it was a grappling hook. Evidence suggests Utahraptor would leap onto its prey, dig its massive claws in for stability, and then use its powerful jaws and sharp teeth to finish the job. It was a perfect killing machine, blending size, strength, intelligence, and terrifying speed. It didn't just chase you, it outthought you, outmaneuvered you, and once it had you, there was no escape. That deadly combination of brain and brawn is what makes Utahraptor the undisputed champion of speed and terror. So there you have it. 4 dinosaurs that prove speed was one of the deadliest weapons in the prehistoric world. From the brute force of Carnotaurus to the strategic genius of the raptors, these creatures remind us that in the game of survival, being fast often means being the one who lives to see another day. All right, let's talk about what truly made dinosaurs terrifying. I'm not talking about just speed or intelligence or size alone. I'm talking about pure, raw, unstoppable power. And that brings us to our number 2 spot. You guessed it, Tyrannosaurus Rex. Yes, T-Rex absolutely earns its place on this list, but maybe not for the reasons you've seen in the movies. Forget the Jeep chases for a second, and let's get into the real science of fear. First, let's talk about its bite. T-Rex possessed the strongest bite force of any land animal that has ever lived. Period. We're talking about a force that could crush a car, but it wasn't just the power. It was what that power did. Its teeth weren't like knives, designed for slicing flesh. No, they were more like giant, serrated railroad spikes. They were specifically evolved to crush bone. T-Rex didn't just take a bite out of its prey. It caused catastrophic, explosive damage, shattering skeletons with a single chomp. Imagine the sound of that. Then there's its brain. Analysis of T-Rex's skull shows it had massive olfactory bulbs. What does that mean? It means it had an incredible sense of smell, possibly one of the best in the animal kingdom. It could likely smell a potential meal from miles away, so hiding wasn't really an option. It would find you. Now, for years, people have debated its speed. Was it a slow, lumbering scavenger? The latest research paints a much scarier picture. While it probably couldn't sprint at 60 miles per hour like in the movies, it was far from slow. It was an efficient, powerful walker capable of covering large distances quickly. Think of it less like a sprinter and more like a walking disaster, a force of nature moving across the landscape. Its long legs meant it had a massive stride. Once a T-Rex had you in its sights, with its keen vision and unbelievable sense of smell, escape would have been nearly impossible. It wouldn't need to be the fastest thing on the planet. It just needed to be faster than you. The combination of that sensory power, that bone-shattering bite, and its relentless pursuit is what made T-Rex a true nightmare. Once it saw you, once it smelled you, it was already too late. The hunt was over before it even began. But here's the twist. The most terrifying dinosaur wasn't the biggest, and as we've just established, it wasn't even the one with the strongest bite. The number 1 most terrifying dinosaur was something else entirely. It was a different kind of monster, one that used a completely different and arguably more horrifying strategy to dominate its world. Stay tuned as we reveal the dinosaur that takes the top spot. Alright, let's talk about the final boss of the dinosaur world, the one that truly breaks all the rules. We're talking about Spinosaurus. Forget everything you thought you knew about apex predators, because this creature was a whole different level of terrifying. For starters, it was longer than a T-Rex. Let that sink in. Longer than the most famous carnivore to ever walk the earth. But its size wasn't even the scariest part. The real horror of Spinosaurus was its lifestyle. It was semi-aquatic. This wasn't just a land-based monster. It was perfectly adapted for both land and water. Imagine a world where you're constantly looking over your shoulder on land, always listening for the heavy footfalls of a giant predator. Now imagine finding a river, a vast body of water. You think, finally, a safe space, a barrier. You might even venture in for a drink or to cross to the other side, feeling a sense of relief. And that's when it happens. The water's surface breaks, not with a splash, but with the silent, horrifying emergence of a snout longer than you are tall, filled with conical, interlocking teeth. There's no roar, no warning. Just the cold, dead eyes of a hunter rising from the depths. This was the reality of living with Spinosaurus. It could swim with the grace of a crocodile and walk on land with the power of a theropod. It primarily hunted massive fish, But don't think for a second it would pass up an opportunity on the shoreline. It could ambush from the river's edge, dragging unsuspecting dinosaurs into a watery grave. The sheer unpredictability of Spinosaurus is what makes it the ultimate nightmare. You weren't safe on land, and you definitely weren't safe in the water. It could be anywhere, at any time. T-Rex was a brute force terror, an unstoppable train of muscle and teeth. But Spinosaurus was the monster under your bed and the shark in the water, all rolled into one. It was the embodiment of ambush and surprise. And in the wild, the threat you don't see coming is the one that truly defines terror. As we've explored these incredible creatures, from the lightning-fast raptors to the bone-crushing jaws of Tyrannosaurus, we see a pattern. Dinosaurs weren't just simple-minded monsters. They were highly specialized, perfectly adapted killing machines. Each one was terrifying in its own unique evolutionary way. The Giganotosaurus was a titan, built for taking down giants. The Utahraptor was a coordinated pack hunter with intelligence and lethal claws. And the Spinosaurus was a master of two worlds, a predator that made every environment a potential death trap. The most exciting part is that science is constantly uncovering new details, painting an even more vivid and dangerous picture of the prehistoric world. What we know today is just a fraction of the full story. These weren't just animals, they were the rulers of a planet far more dangerous than we can possibly imagine. Every day, paleontologists are piecing together clues that reveal just how sophisticated and deadly these perfect predators truly were. If you enjoy diving deep into real dinosaur science like this, and you want to separate the facts from the movie fiction, then you found the right channel. Make sure you subscribe to Dino Pulse so you don't miss our next deep dive into the prehistoric world. And for your daily dose of amazing facts, be sure to check out our shorts. We post new content all the time to keep you updated on the latest discoveries. Thanks for watching. Because millions of years ago, Earth was a very, very dangerous place. Stay curious.